Hey everyone, back with you with another Motorvated video. This time we are going to be featuring Ray Holden's Lightning Sprint race car. This is new to me, seems really cool. I'm excited to hear him talk about it and everything that goes into it. He will be racing this weekend up at Tri-State Speedway, June 26th. So if anybody's looking for something to do this weekend, head on up to Tri-State Speedway, catch you some races. Should be a good time. Ray, if you don't mind, introduce yourself and how you got into racing lightning sprints.
Hey everybody, I'm Ray Holden. I live here in Evansville, Indiana. I got into racing, this lightning sprint racing about 4 years ago in 2017. Kid, I grew up about 20 miles from Eldora Speedway. Owned by Tony Stewart now, going there as a kid, going to dirt track races. We also live close to Winchester, Indiana and Anderson, Indiana, so we went over and watch pavement sprints, different pavement racing. So racing and cars was always in my blood. I just didn't come up to the financial means until I was about 36 years old. I went up to Tri-State Speedway one night with my dad and my brother. Saw them racing these cars and thought to myself, I wonder how much one of these things would cost. Started getting on Facebook looking, found one, bought my first car. And end of 2016 is when I bought it. And then we started racing in 2017.
If you're not from the Tri-State area, Tri-State Speedway is in Hobbstadt, Indiana, which is what, 20 minutes north of Evansville?
Yeah, about 20 minutes north of Evansville. It's a big track. It's called the Class Track. Tommy Helfrich and them, they put on a heck of a show every weekend that they have racing up there. It's usually us, lightning sprints, and we're a support class to the 410 non-wing sprint cars. The big 900 horsepower V8s, and then they also race modifieds and late models up there every once in a while. But it's a great track. It's a home track, which is nice for us. We love it. We enjoy it. We've got better every year as we went up there. But we do go up as far as Putnamville, Indiana, to Lincoln Park Speedway. We go to North Vernon, Indiana, to the track over there. We go to Brownstown, Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, Paragon, Indiana. Wayne County, Illinois, DuQuoin, Illinois, so we kind of go here, there, and everywhere as much as we can. And the reason we do that is to support our sponsors, because they have supported us year in and year out.
Real quick, you mentioned some horsepower numbers and everything. Can we go into what powers this Lightning Sprint?
So this car that we bought, we just bought this past year, it has a 2008 R1. It comes straight out of a bike. The bottom part of the motor has to be stock. The motor itself from top to bottom has to be stock. And then we run what's called an Engler mechanical injection. And that's built by Engler Machine and Tool up in Princeton, Indiana. So another shop that's here local. My first time running the Engler mechanical injection. We've always ran an electronic injection on it. And we are nothing but pleased with the new injection system that we got. So this thing, you know, everybody looks at the R1s, the crotch rockets that run down the highway. We just take that and we put it in a car, and then we run it how we need it. We can change the gears out, change that with our gearing, depending on the track size.
Is there any forced induction on the engine, or is it just all working with what you already have, internals and everything?
It all works with what's in there. Like I said, the motor's got to be stock from top to bottom. So it's just a motor. We have a fuel tank there in the back, pushes the fuel forward, runs it through the pump that's on the side of the motor, that pulls the fuel up to the injection, and it fires the motor and we run it.
Awesome. So what are you guys revving to with the R1 engine in there?
Depending on the gearing what we put in, we tap it out at 14,000 RPM. So when you guys hear us out on the track, we're screaming it. That's pedal to the floor, and we're tacking out at 14,000 RPMs on these motors. So this motor is a championship motor from a past driver. So we're looking hopefully to get better with it as we go, because we haven't had a motor with this power quite under our seat yet.
All right, so Ray's gonna do us a favor. I've never heard one of these run in person, so he's gonna fire this thing up for us. Awesome. Let's so we talked a little bit about the engine. How about we start at the front of the car? If you don't want to tell your secrets, you don't have to tell your secrets. So
we won't give all our secrets away, but so you got the nose wing here. It creates downforce on the car. There is a top wing that goes on top of the car. Unfortunately, it don't fit with it in the garage. It's 16 square feet. That keeps the downforce on the car. So when it comes to running wing racing, this wing and that wing, it's all based on setup. The way the wings are set up, you can move them back to get yourself a little tighter, move them forward to get yourself a little looser, and you can do all that from the cockpit of the car while you're on the track. So this is all, wings is all downforce. It's all set up when it comes to that. Now when you take these wings off, this top wing and that nose, or the nose wing, then it becomes all driver. Non-wing racing is driver. So it's how you handle the car, how you hit the throttle, how you turn it, how you hit the brakes. It becomes in the driver's hand more when you're running non-wing. We run a 2014 XXX chassis. XXX chassis are actually not made for lightning sprint, so to speak. They're made for midget racing, which is another form of racing. Hoosier Speed up in Bloomington, Indiana, my buddy Andy Bradley and his brother Scotty Bradley, they started Hoosier Speed. And they'll take these frames and they'll actually transform them into lightning sprint frames where you can use them for lightning sprint racing.
So real quick on that, what is needed to transform them? Can you maybe briefly explain the difference and what they do to make it within regulations?
Absolutely. So on a midget and say a 410 sprint car, they're on a direct drive from the motor. What that means is the motor sits up here where all the motors sit, and they run a shaft between the driver's feet back to the rear axle, and that's what drives it. So on these, we run motorcycle engines, as I said, and it runs on the chain drive just like a motorcycle on the street. So what they do is that underneath the seat there's a bar that they cut out, and they move it in and over, so that way we can run the chain down the side of the frame, so that way we can get it to the rear axle. So that's the major change that they do in these to make them lightning sprint ready from a midget frame.
And real quick, I want to go back just a little bit. You said you can make adjustments to the wings and stuff in the cockpit of the car. I mean, is it quick enough to do while you're running? Is it something you need to do before or after a race, or how does that kind of work?
You can actually do it while you're in the race. So it doesn't have to be during a caution or anything. If you want to move your wing during a race, it's just a quick put your hand up, flip the switch or flip it down. Just depending on how you want your wing to go and how you got your setup. So you can do that on the fly in the race. You know, if you get to watch any in-car cameras of these or World of Outlaws, you'll see the guys move their wings and adjust their wings as the track conditions change throughout the race.
Awesome. So what are we working with as far as front suspension?
So we run gas CSI shocks. These are coilover springs on the XXX. The XXX runs the coilovers. A lot of your Hinchcraft, some other different types of cars, they run what's called 4-bar, and I'll explain a little bit of that when we get to the back of the car. We just have a straight 44-inch axle. We run the DMI hubs and spindles. All this connects together with radius rods. If you guys look, as you look real close, you can change one of these axles out in little to no time at all if you came into a pinch. So if you went out, had a little fender bender out on the track, bent your front axle, it's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, and you can have that whole front axle and get a new front axle in there and be race ready if you bend something on it.
Awesome. So what wheels and tires are we running here?
So we run Hoosier tires. I've run Hoosier tires ever since I've raced Lightning Sprints. Some guys will race the American Racers. So these are your basic front tires, and then on the back we also run Hoosiers. The right rear for spec for our series is an 82-inch SP2 right rear, which is a certain compound. And then left rear we run anywhere from a 74 to 78 inch to give us our stagger depending on the track. And we also run Hoosier there. So I found nothing but good things with Hoosiers, so I've stuck with Hoosier all my racing career.
And then what's the spec on the tire up front size-wise?
Let's see, the spec on this tire is, it is a 68-inch and 7-inch rim. Or on a 13-inch rim, 7 inches wide, sorry.
Gotcha. So what do we have here coming out of the side of the car in between the wheels and tires?
Okay. So this is a Nerf bar. All sprint cars run them. You'll see every type of sprint car run them. This Nerf bar is put on here so that way the other drivers can't get their tires in between your tires. You guys can see that there's a pretty short wheelbase. So if you get an 82-inch tire or 78-inch tire from the other side in there, there ain't much space to give, so you can get hurt really quick. I like to call sprint cars the bouncy balls of racing. If you ever seen a sprint car wreck, they look like a bouncy ball. It's good to keep those, the Nerf bars, safe. We carry extra ones of those because sometimes it just happens. But those are definitely a safety feature that they put on these cars.
All right, so now let's move on to the rods that are coming out of the side of the cars.
So these are your front radius rods on this on this side of the car. There's another one on the other. What this does is this will move your front axle in and out. And what you do is you just pretty much use those to set your axle square with the frame. They don't have a whole lot of play once you get them set, but those do play an intricate part of keeping everything square and even. So, and you'll see this little tab right here. This is the motor plate of the car. It's what the motor attaches to, and that's what we square the rear axle and front axle off of when we do that.
All right, so let's move around to the back of the car and maybe talk rear suspension and other good information for what's going on in the back here.
Again, we run CSI gas shocks on the back, adjustable shocks. We can change those to track condition. We can change the nitrogen pressure inside of them. And then also there's a knob down here on all 4 shocks that we can adjust for track conditions. So we can do that. There is series that run adjustable shocks inside the car. And some of the cars you'll see 4 knobs inside the driver's cockpit, and they can actually adjust their shocks on the fly while they're at the track. So that's just a thing that they can do. We don't do that in our series. A good set of shocks can cost you anywhere from $1,400 to $2,000, depending on what you want out of. This right here is a Jacobs ladder. This is kind of part of your floating suspension on it. This works when you hit the turns. It adjusts everything, so that way you gotta think your left rear is smaller than your right rear. So the cars want to sit down on the left and go to the right, so you're getting more difference in between the two, and this Jacob ladder helps with that difference.
So I see a number 28 on the back of here. Is there significance to 28?
There is. many old school people will know Davey Allison. He was my favorite race car driver when I was a kid in NASCAR. So that number's been with me ever since. So I brought it when I came racing, and that's why it's there.
I've noticed, and a lot of people probably already know, but you can see that there's definitely an offset to the tires as far as spacing from the chassis of the car. Can you go ahead and explain that, just in case somebody doesn't know what?
Oh, yeah. So what we do is we run what's called stagger. This is what helps set the car into the corners. So if anybody's watched sprint car racing or whatnot, these cars don't go straight to the turns. You don't make a left-hand turn and go through the corner like NASCAR or any type of other pavement racing. When you make a left turn, your right rear's wanting to come out from behind you. So that's used to offset when you go through the turn to help you go through the curves when you do it, because you're sliding sideways, you're steering right instead of left.
Awesome. And we got the exhaust over here running out of the side. Is this factory exhaust, or can you have aftermarket exhaust on the engines?
This is not factory exhaust. They make headers certainly for this type of series. This exhaust system is made by Schoenfeld. They make a lot of them for the Lightning Sprints. They make headers for sprint cars. So they're big into the racing world when it comes to the exhaust systems. So as you can see, where you're at now, this is pretty much the captain's chair of the car. The only thing I run, some guys run an oil pressure gauge. I have a different setup on my car. So all I do is I run a temp gauge. Obviously, if that thing's blistering about 240, 260, things are about to go wrong with the car. So we try to keep it about 200. When we get in the track, we'll run about 180. You'll see in there we run a 5-point harness system for our safety. We run the brake system inside the car and everything. You'll see down there, we'll move this steering wheel out of your way. You'll see down there you don't have much foot space when it comes down in there. So it's pretty much like sitting in a desk chair and you got your feet right there beside each other. So
is the plates down there comfort plates for your feet, or is that to help you get on the pedals better?
So that's more of a comfort thing for your heels. Your heels set on, so your feet pretty much set level when they're in the pedals, which is nice. And then also on the brake pedal, so everybody wants to push forward real hard. What I do is I just rest my left foot, and it grips, my shoes will grip on top of it. It's got some grooves in it, and I can just slide my foot forward with what I need. So I'm not just sitting there hammering on the brake every time. Get where the gas pedal is, my foot sits in there level. So all I gotta do is push straight down. I'm not trying to have my foot up like this and then push it down. It's just straight there, and I'm just pushing down. So that helps out a lot when it comes to throttle control.
If there's any competitors, you can't steal that idea, okay? That's his idea. And the all-important, I see up here, GoPro camera setup.
Yes, we try to keep footage. A lot of people, my kids included, they've looked at that and they're like, Dad, we don't see much. I don't look so much of what's going on. I try to watch what I'm doing inside the car. It's a learning lesson for me. It helps me learn how to drive better and do better on the track also when it comes to racing. So I constantly watch it after the races. I'll go out and run hot laps, and I'll come back in, pull it out, hook it up on my phone, watch that, see what the track's doing, see how the car's handling, go out and make my adjustments. Same for the heat race and then in the feature. All right, so back on here, we're looking at the sprocket. So as you can see back here, this is your rear sprocket, and then you got your front sprocket up on the motor, as most should know, that drives out of the motor. So what we can do is we can change that front sprocket out and change the gearing in the motor based on the track size, or we can change this one just depending on what the track's doing. Most of the tracks, once you go there, you pretty much get a gearing setup that works all the time, which is pretty nice because then you're not changing them in and out. Question earlier we talked about was these torsion bars. So if I'm going to change the sprocket out on either one of these, obviously the chain's got to come off. So what I'll do is unloosen these, I'll pull the axle forward, that way I can get the chain out of the way and get the sprockets changed.
All right guys, so I think we are finished up, and as always at the end of the videos, we want to give the person being featured a chance to shout out a small business and or something they would like to see on the channel. So if you could give us a couple suggestions for what you'd like to see on the channel, that'd be awesome.
I'll give you two shout outs first. First, my wife and my kids, they're my biggest supporters. I wouldn't be doing this without them, that's for sure. And also, go check my racing page out, Holden Racing on Facebook. But when you want to come to look at something, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you have not been to Hopstock, please come up there and watch us race. But I think one of the next ones you should get to is Edwards Concrete and do a story on Jaden Rogers. He's an 18-year-old kid, up and coming, and I think he would be good for this show and tell you a lot more about what's going on in the 410 sprint car world.
Awesome. All right, well, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Be safe this weekend. Hopefully you get the W. All right, everyone, I think that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you guys would like to see. Throw some shout outs out there. I just want to see what's out there. Get you on the channel and have some fun with this, okay? So let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. We're open to constructive criticism. This is my second video ever, so bear with me. Anyways, till next time, and let's see what you got.